Well guys, another bomb dropped this week. Trails of Cold Steel 3 on Switch is a reality, and there are tons of questions. When is it coming? What about 1 and 2? What does this announcement mean? What could be next? And how did NISA troll Atlus? Let's get into it. Yes, you heard that right. It was announced that NISA is doing a Switch port of Trails of Cold Steel 3 and will be releasing in spring 2020 for a worldwide release. I take this announcement as a sign that the English version of Trails of Cold Steel 3 did well on PS4. So my first thoughts? On Switch? Totally out of left field. This is the first main Trails game to ever come out on Switch, and the third game in the Cold Steel series, and the 8th game in the Trails franchise, and this is where we start on Switch? It all seems kind of odd, doesn't it? What timeline is this, and how did I get here? So, let's try to wrap our heads around this decision. I think one of the main justifications is to get the series back on handhelds to fill the space that is no longer held by the PS Vita, especially in Japan, so I'm sure there's crossover from old Vita owners that have moved on to the Switch. Next, let's recognize the fact that NISA has officially begun porting CS3 to other platforms, and they are outsourcing the port labor to a company called Engine Software, who NISA worked with on the Caligula Effect Switch port. Engine Software have recently done the Ni no Kuni remaster Switch port and seem to have been working on Cold Steel 3 for some time now. NISA is bringing the game over to Switch sort of like what they did with Ys 8. Just without the bad translation and multi-platform simultaneous launch shenanigans. NISA seems to be taking their time with releasing this port on other platforms for a better end product on launch, which I am totally fine with, even if the other platforms come out later. We don't want another Ys 8 disaster. Gentlemen, brace yourselves because I think NISA is finally coming around. Now, for all you Switch owners, first of all, welcome to the Trails series. I know there are probably at least some of you who have played these games during previous generations, but I'm sure many of you have not, know how important the previous games are for the story, and are wondering where are Cold Steel 1 and 2 on Switch. This is a more complicated matter, but if it were to happen, it may take a collaboration between NISA and Xseed, who originally brought over the Trails series before Cold Steel 3. Unfortunately, we still don't know the exact contract agreement between Falcom and NISA. However, from what I understand, Falcom actually owns the English scripts of all the Trails games that Xseed localized, but whether or not they could be provided to NISA is still unclear, but I think there is a good chance we see Cold Steel 1 and 2 on Switch at some point. It just doesn't make sense not to release them too. So I think the Switch owners who played Cold Steel 1 and 2 on Vita, PS3, or PC are the primary players until Cold Steel 1 and 2 Switch can be figured out. Which brings us to the other elephant in the room. Where the heck is the PC port? PC is the single platform that has not missed a localization of any of the Trails games. And I wouldn't worry one bit, and I am almost positive that that will be the next announcement. Falcom President Toshihiro Kondo has expressed how well Falcom games have done on Steam in previous interviews, and I'm sure they want to keep that streak alive. Oh, and that's probably not all. In Falcom's latest financial report, they stated they are working on porting older Trails games to new platforms like PS4. And I think it's safe to say that this Trails of Cold Steel 3 Switch port is the inaugural game that will ring in the great Trails ports era. Even if the Switch only ends up getting the Trails of Cold Steel series. And I wouldn't doubt if we eventually get all the Trails games on Switch and PC, and of course PS4, in due time. And perhaps my dream of owning a physical copy of Trails in the Sky 2nd Chapter and the 3rd can finally be realized. And for another reminder about the future of Trails, keep an eye out around December 18th for news about the next Trails game after Cold Steel 4 from Falcom's yearly shareholder meeting. It's going to be very interesting how this plays out. Now, do you remember what other big JRPG announcement there was on this December the 3rd, 2019? Persona 5 Royal is dominating the JRPG headlines and is coming out on Switch. Wait, what? Oh, it's not coming out on Switch. PS4. Persona 5 Royal is coming out on PS4. So, NISA totally undermined the Persona 5R announcement, which is coming out March 31st, 2020 by the way, and when we have a look at the placeholder date for Cold Steel 3 on Amazon, guess what date it is? March 31st. Oh, this just keeps getting better and better. Now, that date is likely subject to change, but NISA seems to have gone rogue with the Cold Steel 3 Switch announcement directed right at the Nintendo fans that are the ire of Atlus's existence ever since Atlus announced Persona 5S that it was actually a totally different Dynasty Warriors type game instead of a port of the original game, to everyone's disappointment.
Disappointed!
But I think that was just a friendly competitive burn from NISA, but also intentionally done since Atlus informed the world of the announcement a couple weeks ago. A move right out of Falcom's own playbook actually, providing NISA the heads up to plan a little something of their own. Seems like this day was just meant to be. Also, with Cold Steel 3 coming out in Japan on Switch alongside the Western version, I would say this solidifies the chances of Cold Steel 3 and beyond inevitably being localized. I'm getting a vibe from NISA with the CS3 Switch announcement that they are strapping in for the long haul to release whatever Falcom can throw at them. We would have never seen this kind of turnaround from Xseed, and I think it's becoming clearer and clearer that NISA was actually the right choice for the Trails series. And also, NISA's promotional campaign and convention presence with Cold Steel 3 over the past year was very impressive, and I would expect to see that continue with this Switch version and whatever other Falcom projects they have up their sleeves moving forward. Now for the breakdown of the physical versions announced this week. The physical version is called the Extracurricular Edition. Now I see why the PS4 one was called Early Enrollment Edition. Tricky NISA. It comes with a Branch Campus Student Directory 20-page mini art book, collectible animated lenticular card, and reverse cover insert featuring alternate artwork. It will be priced at $59.99. Also, the Switch version is getting its own Thor's Academy Collector's Edition, just like PS4. It comes with the Symphony of Class 7 music CD, postcards, Thor's Branch Campus Dossier S1206 art book, the Einhell Keep Collector's Box, Steelbook, and Mishi plushie, and will be priced at $99.99. Also, I was able to nab some images of the Steelbook from the NISA staff on Discord, so shout out to them. I'll play those images now. Trails of Cold Steelbook. Ooh, Trails of Cold Steelbook. Ah, Trails of Cold Steelbook. Trails of Cold Steelbook. Trails of Cold Steelbook. Yeah. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. Don't forget to check out my Trails from Zero review if you haven't. I cover a fan-translated version of the first Crossbell game, or check out my other informative videos on Trails localizations. As always, thanks for the view, and we'll catch you later.